friends. Welcome to our monthly gathering of Code. We are delighted and excited to be with you again for our gathering of community practice of being embodied, awake, and with the full experience of who we are. For anyone who's new, this is our monthly gathering experience of the Temple of Wholeness. The Temple of Wholeness is a 501c3 church organization dedicated to the awakening and emancipation of individuals, communities, and the world at large, helping us to remember our true, intact, and infinitely powerful whole experience of self and recognizing the power of what that can do in the world when more and more people come to the truth of their innate wholeness. So we are delighted to be with you yet again. For those who are new, the structure of these experiences is that we start out with a practice led by Amber that will help us to get embodied, help us to start to notice what's happening inside. I will lead a very short teaching segment followed by a practice on this month's topic, which is three signs of an awakened soul. And then we will end with a prayer, a little bit of community check in, and send you on your way to have the most beautiful Sunday possible. So strap in for some goodness, truth, and beauty, some deep connection with self, and a awakening of the deeper aspects of self that sometimes just get a little bit buried in our day to day. With that, I'm going to pass the torch to Amber to lead our attunement, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Matt, and thank you everybody for being here with us today to commune together. So with that, I'll invite us to close our eyes. And as we close our eyes, we begin to draw our awareness from the externalities, from the surfaces of where our attention generally focuses, to begin to pull it inwards and to begin to bring into greater focus our interior. So we'll simply begin by deepening and lengthening the breath. With each inhale, drawing more and more of your attention inwards to the core, to the depths. With each exhale, allowing ourselves to rest in and down through the body, allowing ourselves to settle more fully into the surface that is supporting us from below. So as you inhale and draw more and more of your attention inwards, you can begin to visualize the photons of light that are pouring in on each breath, riding on the current of your respiration, beginning to fill you from the inside out with more light. And with each exhale, as we settle in and down more fully, beginning to allow a sense of substantiation from the base of the body, like the thickening of a tree trunk at its base. And as you rest in with each in-breath, feeling more and more of a sense of being settled here in this moment, fully arriving together. And with more of your attention potentizing into the core, becoming aware of this central channel, the center of the tube torus of your electromagnetic field. This tube that runs from the crown of the head down through the center of the body and through the root. And with each in-breath, focusing the breath into this central channel to fill it with more density of light. Drawing all of your attention and energy from any other spaces that you've inhabited, conversations that you've participated in, where perhaps some of your attention may still be lingering. And as you redirect your focus to concentrating into the core, feeling that your attention begins to still, just like the eye at the center of a storm is always still. Acknowledging as we allow ourselves to arrive here and now more fully into the center, that we begin to cohere our energy, that we naturally begin to arrive into a sense of equilibrium here at the center. Allowing all of the externalities to do what they are doing as you hone your attention and focus to choose to inhabit this space within that allows any turbulent waters to calm, the gale force winds to still, and resting into this space of dignity here at the center, knowing that the deeper and deeper we come into accord with the center, the more our coherence increases, the more command we have over our response to anything that may be swirling around us. So bringing your awareness now to the top of this tube at the crown of the head. And as if there was an aperture here, you can begin to intend for it to dilate more broadly open, widening the access. And as you allow your awareness just to lift up and out of this crown, rising above this funnel, beginning to join more fully with this downward flowing, immanent stream of restorative light, this holy light of source, continually flowing. And it's up to us to choose how much do we allow this current to flow through us, to vitalize and animate us. So as you join with this current, beginning to inhale downwards and drawing down this stream through the top of the funnel, the crown of the head, following the current as it spirals and flows down through the central channel, and allowing this breath and current to arrive into the heart. And as we fill here into the heart, suspending the breath for a few seconds, noticing the sensations as we suspend the breath and allow the heart to deeply drink this energy inwards. And as we exhale, releasing this current downwards, continuing to follow it through the central channel as it flows and spirals down and out and through the root into the earth, allowing this light to plant itself through you into the earth, to bless the earth and all of life. Connecting into the roots at the bottom of this out breath, pausing in this quantum pause between breaths, allowing the roots to be saturated with this light as they reach into the earth. And as we begin to inhale again, reversing the direction to draw upwards from your roots, the current of the earth's nourishment and energy. Breathing that light, cool, blue, soothing, like a plasma that moves up and through you, rising up through the central channel, once again arriving into the heart. And as we suspend the breath, once again pausing between the in and outflow, allow the heart to drink in the frequency and nourishment of the earth's energy. And as you release the breath, allowing that current to continue flowing, spiraling upwards until it spirals up and out of the crown. And again, pause and allow the space around you to be drenched with this outflowing energy. Once again, reversing the direction, actively drawing down with gratitude this ever-flowing source stream. Actively receiving again down into the heart. And as you feel this breath into the heart, allow the heart to swell in the receiving and pause. The top of this breath, this pulsing fullness, full of life. Exhale, releasing downwards and allowing this current to flow back down through the root once again. And as it does, it's carrying back down into the earth anything that's being held in the system that may be in excess, that isn't yours to carry, releasing downwards into the earth. And again, pause. Pausing at the bottom of this breath, we feel this shimmering, oscillating spaciousness, a space of pure potentiality. Be receiving the next breath upwards once again, drawing up, following the current as it rises up through the central channel and again into the heart. And as the heart fills, once again, pause and allowing this saturation, allowing your system to draw in exactly what it needs through receiving these currents now to find balance, harmony. And to exhale as you release, once again, rising upwards like a fountain, fountaining up and out of the head, a few feet above the head, and pause between breaths. Allowing each of these quantum pauses between breaths to support in resetting the system to find its innate balance. And we'll repeat this cycle once again, one more breath from above, breathing down this warm, nourishing, golden source stream. And as you breathe it down through the central channel, allow it to saturate out in all directions from the core, saturating every cell in this frequency of light. When you reach the heart, pausing once again, allow the saturation to continue to spread just as you dip a dry sponge in water and it plumps back up as it becomes rehydrated, allowing this sensation to spread through your cells, releasing the breath, relaxing everything downwards as the current continues to flow downwards, saturating all the way down through the body and back into the earth. And one more pause here, allowing the earth to receive this energy through you. And our final breath from below, breathing upwards and drawing up all that the earth has to provide for you now in this moment, to feel full of life, centered and balanced, grounded, open, and attuned. Pausing at the heart once again, allow the heart to expand. And now on this exhale, follow the energy inwards into the center of the heart. Feel it pulling, drawing you inwards like a magnet. And when you reach the bottom of this in-breath, pause here, feeling this inner sanctum beckoning you more deeply inwards. The heart as the conductor of the bioorganism. The heart responsible for establishing coherence when we come into accord with our innate nature. And now allow your breathing to return to a pace and rhythm that feels natural while maintaining this single-pointed focus at the center of the heart. Observing and sensing this downward flowing, immanent current of source. This upward flowing, transcendent current from the earth. And these energies meeting here at the center point of the heart. This point where we have the capacity to establish heaven on earth from the inside out. And as we maintain focus here and allow this doorway to open more deeply inwards, allowing these two currents to blend together within your own heart, blending in the exact right combinations that are appropriate for you now in this moment to find this sense of balance, to rest into the stillness, to allow every cell to suffuse in the unique and distinct frequency of your beingness, the essence of your soul, saturating through every cell of your body, resonating the song of remembrance of who and what you are in truth, who you've always been and will always be. and simply resting and allowing that remembrance to resound through you. Allowing the feeling tone of well-being to permeate. Feeling the steadiness of your focus as you rest into the stillness, and allowing your breath to be the breath of God, God breathing you. Each in-breath receiving all that is, each out-breath releasing all of it. And inviting each breath to tune you into even deeper coherence with the essence of your being. Allowing the mind to rest down into the heart as the heart rests back into the eternal. And just like when we dive deep down into the ocean and can look up upon the surface and notice all of the activity, the movements, observing all of it from the depths, reaching into the stillness, the calm that always resides here, regardless of any surface activity that may be happening. And know that the more we choose to cultivate this connection and to allow our body and nervous system to receive this remembrance, to remember the steadiness and the calm that's ever pervasive, regardless of what's happening on the surface, that we hold true power. The power to choose how we respond to what's happening on the surface. The power to choose what meaning we make of it. And the power to continuously rest deeper beneath all of it. Remaining connected to what is abiding always. So the invitation is to continue to rest deeper and deeper still into the sanctuary while we simultaneously allow our attention to widen beyond this point in receptivity for the wisdom that Matt has to share with us today and following practice to continue deepening this relationship with what is most true, to strengthen it as primary so that we can move through this world in this time of great change and chaos and be one that brings order to chaos from a place of connection, connection to our innate divinity, the recognition of ourselves as an agent here to order the chaos, to be a continuous invitation for the truth and the beauty and goodness that lies at the heart of all. And with that, I'll invite you to continue to keep your eyes closed while I hand the baton to Matt and allow him to guide us into the next chapter of our communion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, keep your eyes closed. Keep your systems relaxed. I'm going to share a little information before practice, but receiving the information is actually part of the practice. So in past gatherings, you've heard me share the idea of letting concepts land like waves on the shore of your awareness so that we're not leaving ourselves to reach for thought, abstraction, conceptualization, or process of thinking, but allowing these concepts to just land within us And whatever may take hold that is of a natural and inherent value to you to take root, whatever is not to just simply slide off the surface of your mind and move through you so it can land wherever else it needs to land in the universe. Our theme this month is three signs of an awakened soul. And this topic has root in many traditions. In Buddhism, there are 32 signs of the Buddha, which are actual physical characteristics like long earlobes, dharma wheels on the palms and soles of the feet, protuberance on the top of the head. In Taoism, they have a concept of one who has entered the way and one who practices the Wu Wei, which is they are moved as life is moved, and life and action moves through them, not from them. In the Christian tradition, we have signs and symbols of saints that might include an emanating glow, like a halo around the head, or like Saint Francis, who the birds and the animals would naturally seek him and come and sit by him, or the birds would land on his shoulders. So there are external signs, but there's also process. There's a process of awakening the soul, which has natural steps, signposts, and markers along that process. So for us in this practice today, we're going to categorize three signs, three states of being that for us in the West in this modern period are good and useful signs that the soul is in the process of awakening, not holding ourselves to the standard of an absolute non-dual realized master, but also not in the beginning and first steps of the spiritual dabbler, but signs that the awakening is legitimate and has taken root and is in process. So I'm going to do this by leading us through this practice and naming these first, second, and third signs as we reach them in the point of the practice. So the first thing I'm going to invite us to do from this state that Amber helped us to cultivate is to notice that space in the heart where Amber invited the mind to come down and rest. And first to notice the heart at the size of the organ of the heart. And then to get smaller and notice the blood moving through the heart as it operates as a pump. And then to get smaller to the size of the cells of the muscle tissues of the heart. And then allow your awareness to get even smaller to the proteins inside the cells of the heart. And then even smaller to the molecules, then to the protons, neutrons, and electrons, then even smaller to the quantum particles, and then even smaller to the smallest known unit of measure in our physical reality, which is the Planck length. And then one more step where we merge beyond physical space into a vast field of non-material possibility, an infinitesimal but endless field of possibility that is within every cell, molecule, every wave packet, every Planck length in the entirety of our being. and notice in that infinite field of possibility, at the core is silence and stillness, a perfect non-spatial and non-temporal stillness and silence. In that stillness and silence, we might notice relief, too small for the mind to be thinking. All that can exist is consciousness noticing, awareness being aware. This stillness and silence pervades all that is spatial and temporal reality. It pervades all that is beingness. So even though it is at the scale of the infinitesimal, it exists everywhere and every when. The first sign of the awakened soul is those who can find this stillness and this silence wherever they happen to be inhabiting. Right now, this stillness and silence is occurring. We are rested into an infinite expanse of infinitesimal stillness and silence. But your awareness can choose to find this in any moment. Whether you're in the grocery store, you're on a city bus, you're looking at a spreadsheet at work, you're in a conversation with a loved one. Action and sound always emanates out of stillness and silence. When we acknowledge this and practice this, the stillness and silence is always available and on board, and it is the nothing that is perpetually giving rise to the something. As we notice this at the scale of the infinitesimal, I'm going to invite you to climb back in the other direction as we come from the infinite field of possibility back to the plank length, to the particles, quanta, the electrons, the neutrons, the protons, back to the proteins and the cells, to the level of the heart and the body. We can notice that silence, which is the backdrop for which any sound we hear, including my voice, any phenomenon happening in the space around us, are now sitting in a field of stillness and silence. And as we get even larger and move beyond the body to the scale of our house, our neighborhood, our city, our continent, our planet, and out into space, into the vacuum of our solar system, of our galaxy and the universe at the macroscopic scale, you can notice the silence and the stillness of the universe holding the action and sound within it. The universe is still, even if it contains action. And we can notice at the borders of the infinitely small and the infinitely large, stillness and silence is available. And from this background experience, we can notice that even when there is action, even when there is sound, I can still be present. And the more we practice this, the more imperturbable we become. The more we notice the rise and fall of phenomenon. This is a person making sound. This is a person having thoughts. This is a person having emotions. This is a person completely asleep to their inner experience and outer experience. This is an unexpected noise. This is an unexpected message, a text. All of these things are phenomenon that are positioned within a field of silence and stillness. And when we can notice them as something, phenomenon, arising from nothing, emptiness, we can maintain stillness and equanimity. All things can exist as they are without taking us on the ride of what our mind believes it should be thinking about them. This is that meaning making that Amber was mentioning. These are all phenomenon arising out of stillness, and we don't need to go on the ride of the rise and fall, the ebb and flow, the give and take of the phenomenon. They can move within the silence, and that creates equanimity. That equanimity is the second sign of the awakened soul, the ability to be present with what is, the ability to allow it to exist as it is and make conscious choice about our intent and action to participate with whatever it is that is rising and falling in any given moment. And that equanimity and the recognition we don't need to go on the ride because we have access to the microscopic and the macroscopic. We can become the context in which content arises, produces a type of imperturbability that can't exist if we are only identified with ourselves in this mesoscopic, this middle level between these two infinites. If we're just lost in the flux and flow, the rise and fall, the give and take, equanimity will be broken. We need the context of the stillness and the silence in order to be with the phenomenon. And when we can hold ourself and our experience as this infinitely small and large context, and fully be present with and as the phenomenon, we might notice all the sensation that it creates in the body, all the different experiences that we get to have as humans. We might notice now, without being so attached to all the middle level, all the mesoscopic, the infinite spaciousness and the endless fractal sensation in the taste of a single piece of chocolate, the boundless field of information and the sensation of smelling a rose, true merging and being carried on a field of listening to Bach or Beethoven. The pure delight of allowing sensation and interaction with the phenomenal world as experiences in, around, and through our body. And when we teach ourselves to relax, what it means and any unconscious reaction, you might just notice that it feels good to feel sensation. And we have at our fingertips in any moment this possibility of engaging with this vehicle, this chariot for our soul, which is the body, and can choose in any moment that the sensation we're noticing feels pleasurable. And you'll find in advanced teaching of the spiritual traditions, even those things that would historically be held as painful, when we can open ourselves up to them and contact them in their raw and naked state, can transmute into pleasure as well. This shouldn't be taken as spiritual bypass. This shouldn't be taken as a way to negate or leave the body, but actual full merging with the phenomenon, with stillness and silence as context, allows us to be an oscillating string in the universe, which is constantly being plucked by the experiences that the divine is creating in this world of matter and sensation. And if we noticed, we are a string on the infinitely stringed lute of God's divine creation, you will find joy. When you choose to experience that joy without seeming external cause-effect relationships, joy becomes causeless. It's the joy of what is. It's the joy of being and existing. And this is our third sign of the awakened soul. If joy exists as a feature of reality out there, by the law of the macrocosm and the microcosm, it exists somewhere in here. And it also exists as a feel in which we are suspended, which means it is always locatable. If it is locatable and we can choose it, we are in a very delightful position to experience our lives. This causeless joy gets to paint our life in the most magical ways. So if you can hold some experience of the infinitesimal, the infinitely small, and you can hold some experience of the infinitely large, the macroscopic, all of reality, all of the universe. We come to stillness and silence. Within that, when we allow ourselves to be with and merge with all the phenomenon, in the middle of that, we come to equanimity. And when we don't guard against any of that and recognize and feel it as pleasure of being an instrument of God's experience and expression, we come to causeless joy. I'm going to invite you to do what we call planting a flag in this present moment, this state that we've cultivated together now exists as a feature of reality. This is a state that is yours, that you have created, which means that you can create it again. When we plant a flag in the present moment experience, it means we are instructing our subconscious to remember this is a state we can return to. This is a state we can practice and live from. This level of awakeness is always available and always choosable. For it to become enduring simply means we need to practice it with consistency. Stillness and silence, equanimity and causeless joy are your birthright. You possess them. They are yours. It is simply a matter of how much attention and practice and focus you choose to place on this position of awareness within reality. I'm going to invite you to just imagine into an hour from now, 3 hours from now, the rest of the day, if you chose to be in the practice of holding this state, what would your day be like? Yes, we need to build this muscle of awareness. Yes, we need to practice how to take this into the world, carry it through conversation. Yes, there's more learning that needs to occur, but continue this process beyond today to Monday, Tuesday, the end of the week, the end of the month, the end of the year. If you chose to practice these three things, how would your life look by the end of the year, by the end of the following year, by the end of the following decade? As the adage says, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. We may not have taken up these practices 20 years ago, but we can take them up. We can choose them right now. And in a year, 5, 10, 20 years, your life will be so radically different. Your experience with self will be so radically different simply by the action of the choice to revisit this moment and practice this as cultivation. One of the great gifts of this becoming an awakened soul is what it creates in life, which is prayer. We live as prayer in our own life and in the life of those around us and all we touch. We become an instrument of God's own design, experience, and play. And with that concept of becoming prayer, I'll invite and pass the baton back to Amber so that we can take this state that we've cultivated, turn it into prayer for ourselves and the world around us.
God, Spirit, all that is, may you continue to make us an instrument, finely tuning our senses, our perception, so that the most beautiful music of life can play through us. Maybe listen deeply to the whispers that are continually beckoning us to re-anchor into what is most fundamentally true about who we are. May we be guided back to this space of home that coheres not only our field, but all of the fields around us as we choose to walk as an instrument, resonating into all the spaces. And may we be nourished so that we can be fortified to continue to show up and make the choice to remain focused like a laser when so much pulls on us in an attempt to distract us and pull us away from the truth. And may we continually find the others that are also choosing to walk in this way as instruments of the divine, so that we can be fortified in each other's presence, that we can gather strength and energy together and continue to grow and increase the potency of this field that we all choose to contribute by beingness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is.